Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So, today I'm going to be showing you how to use eSword. So, eSword is this Bible study tool. I think it's the best way to label it, but it's very useful for a whole range of things. So, personal study, devotion, all the way up to sermon preparation. It's a really great tool. And whilst it does take some getting used to, at least in my case, I find it extremely helpful. So, I guess I'll just show you it. There'll be a link in the description to download it, and I'll also show you some other stuff. So, starting off, let's look at this, the Bible. So, you have all the books of the Bible down the side. Um, and if you want to go to a different book, let's say we want to look at Matthew, you click on Matthew, you click on chapter 1, and it takes you there. So now we're at Matthew chapter 1. And you have you can download and add different translations and different things. So I'm on the King James Bible right now. I can go on the King James Plus, which gives me the number to the concordance, which is very helpful. So if you're trying to study, maybe do a word study, it's useful. I have the 1611 King James. So you see, for example, the U where is here instead of a V, or sun is spelled weirdly. Young's literal translation, um, the Geneva Bible, and even something more modern like the ESV, or something more obscure like the Bishop's Bible. And then there's also the Greek text with the concordance, and also parsing built in, so it tells you the case, the number, the gender, which is also useful. Um, And yeah, there's also the Greek New Testament and also the Greek Old Testament. So if we go back to Genesis 1, we can have it in that. So Enahi, you can look at that and you can link that to the start of John, which is fun. Through looking at this, Enahi, same words, because John starts the same as Genesis does. Um, so it's very useful for that, and you'll be able to find stuff and learn things, really important things, really, from even just the language tools they have. They also have, if you see on the side, dictionaries, so I can look at different dictionaries, Strong's, that's the main one, that's a well-known one. His Hebrew and Greek dictionary, his concordance, that stuff's worth using, but there's also other ones. And there's also a place for study notes, journal notes. So if I want to write something on this chapter, I can. The font's quite nice. It's kind of like Word, easy to use. It's nice. How do I delete this? Oh, there we go. So yeah, and you can pin stuff. So see, if I pin it, it goes there, or you can unpin it and then it just sits on the side. So now on to the fun part, commentaries. So right now, Calcom, that's Calvin's commentary, but there's lots of commentaries. So you can look at the Geneva Bible Study Notes. You can look at Trapp's commentary. You can look at Matthew Henry, John Gill. Now, with some of these commentaries, obviously, like, for example, Gill, he was pretty much a hyper-Calvinist, a strict Baptist, you'd call him. So, whilst you may not agree with everything they've written, these commentaries mostly are really great. And I'll show you how to get a lot of these later on. Here's Jonathan Edwards. He didn't write anything on this, so nothing shows up. Whereas in the Cambridge Greek commentary, there is commentary on this thing, quite extensively, on John 1:1. So you can read through that. And they also have, you can click C, which is chapter commentaries. So it's a sort of overview of the whole chapter. Matthew Henry is usually good for this. And you can also go book and look at sort of book introduction, book overview. And some are brief and some are more lengthy. Which is great. Again, really helpful to have the variety because different things, different tasks require different levels of depth, and sometimes you just need a brief overview, and sometimes you want to get really in depth, especially if you're going to study something. So that's commentaries and Bibles. Now, If you go to Tools, you can go straight to sermonaudio.com, or you can look at different things like Reference Library. And this is currently a Christian's Reasonable Service. That's what I have open, so it's the entirety of that, which is great. Chapter 75, I think, is my favourite one on fasting. I think it's the best thing I've ever read on fasting, so I would recommend taking a look at that. But look, you can have a library of different ones. So, again, it takes some getting used to be able to navigate it, but here you can search for stuff within volumes. You can look at different works. So I have quite a lot of works downloaded. The PP, that's Puritan paperbacks, so there's quite a lot of those you can get, which is really useful. And just in general, lots of Puritan works and writings. So yeah, so I can just change from up here. Let's say I want to look at the early church fathers. I can, and I can search in I can even print them off, which I think is a great feature. So if I like a chapter or like something, I'm able to print parts off, which it really does help, because then you have the physical text in front of you, you can write on it, you can do whatever. So that's also a really great feature. Here you can, so there's Bible, commentary, dictionary, tools. Now, if you press download, download's one of the first things you want to do. And here is where you can download various things, as download implies. So you can download different translations. And obviously, as you can see yourself, not all of these are good. Some of these are rubbish. And then they also have a premium section, which you have to pay for, as the thing suggests. And you can look at Old English ones. And I think, yeah, they have different languages too. So, like, German Luther Bible, that might be of interest to someone. They may want to look at that. Or Greek stuff, biblical Greek tools, they're always useful. And just other languages too, even Hebrew stuff, which I don't currently use because I don't actually know Hebrew because I've not done my Hebrew classes yet. And even Latin, like it's got everything. Then in commentaries, just wait for it to load. It's got lots of free commentaries too. Now again, not all of these are good. Some of these are going to be rubbish. Like, I'm sure if I got John Darby's, I'd probably become a heretic and maybe even go to hell. Well, obviously I wouldn't, but you know what I mean. There's some rubbish stuff. Like Wesley's notes on the Bible. Some of those are just atrociously bad. What was it? I think it was somewhere in Ephesians I was reading his note, and just he had said so much nonsense. It's really a shame. But yeah, I suppose you could say a positive is they're not biased, but yeah. There's also the info button which you can click on to just read up on what it is, And again, there's Google, so you can check to see who's good. Something like the Schofield reference Bible notes you'd never want, unless you're studying dispensationalism. Um, so yeah, it's some of the stuff is actually rubbish, like really, really rubbish. But some other stuff is great, and again, premium section you can pay for. Wow, imagine paying for John MacArthur. You could pay for John MacArthur if you want. I don't see why why you would, but still you can. And not as many commentaries in other languages as German and Spanish, but still that can be helpful to someone. So dictionaries, I don't really like. You can't really have a well, you can have a bad dictionary, but obviously it's not as problematic. Because most concordances and such, it's not as if they're going to be spouting heresy. That would be somewhat difficult to do. But yeah, you just don't need them, and a lot of people aren't interested in language tools. I think it's helpful, but not always necessary, and sometimes people can get bogged down looking at different things, but other times it can be really, really great. So, they have different devotionals. I don't really use it devotionally at all, so I'm sure some of these will probably be good, but yeah. Different graphics if you want, which can be useful. Um, like maps. Maps can help, depending on what you're doing again. Maybe if you're doing something for a class with children, that may be helpful to have a map, be able to show them. And different reference books. Some of these are great, some of these aren't. again. But yeah, so that's what the actual application offers, what eSword offers. But let me show you just here. There's this website, BibleSupport.com, and that has extra stuff that you can't get on eSword. So if you see, a lot of the stuff I have here isn't stuff you can actually get from the download section, but you can get it from here. And again, you have to be careful because some of the stuff here is really rubbish. You don't want to download some of the stuff here. So this is BibleSupport.com. Some of the stuff's great though. I got a lot of Puritan works from here, and it's free, which is always a good. So you can search up. Look, Jonathan Edwards, for example. And there, his commentary on Hebrews. His resolutions, and you can just click on these and download them. I think you need an account, and you do need to download a program which then enables you to download them. But yeah, it can be really helpful as long as you know what you're looking for. It's great. You have to have some discernment. I'd recommend just don't download everything you see. It's not worth downloading bad stuff. So keep it to a minimum. Download what you use. Don't get too much stuff. And again, if you download something bad, you can remove it. It's not a problem. It's just I suppose you'd say somewhat unnecessary. But yeah, like for example for me, if I'm doing something, probably Henry is my default. I'll use Calvin, maybe take a look at Gill, maybe Trapp if he's written anything on it. The Geneva Notes always find helpful. But yeah, I don't really use all of these. And obviously I prefer books, and I do usually use books, but this is great. So I have this on my laptop, and it means that, if I'm away from my house, unable to use books, then I can just load up my laptop and use it there. Or if for whatever reason I don't own some of it, like Matthew Henry, I don't own his commentary on some books. I have 3 out of 6 volumes, and obviously I have his concise commentary, but that misses out a lot of good stuff, especially depending on who abridged it. Because yeah, it was abridged, and some of the people who abridged it, like some versions, abridged versions, are like they took out some really good stuff because they were Arminians doing it, and yeah, they were being cringe. But yeah, some of these I don't have, so I use, and sometimes it's just easier. Like if I'm sitting at my desk trying to explain something, and I just want to double check, maybe I can just load this up, find the verse, and take a look, rather than having to go search through my books, find the right one, and all of that hassle. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend you exclusively use this. That can make you lazy if you're just defaulting to technology. And not to books. It's good discipline to use books. But if you don't have the books, or if you don't have the time, or if you're unable to access the books, this is a great resource. So both the download to this and BibleSupport.com will be in the description. Make sure what you're downloading, the modules for it and whatever, are good ones. You don't want to be getting rubbish, you don't want to be getting heresy. But yeah, and if you need any help, please leave a comment and I'll be happy to help you out. So thank you for watching. God bless and goodbye.